Guess we're online. I'm not sure. Should I leave the music on or not? You know what? For the time being, I might just turn it off. I think that's a little bit easier to do. But to everyone who's there, thank you very much for joining me in today's lesson of editing, where we're actually finally going to go and jump into a program. In case you don't have any software to edit with yet, then please just look at my last live stream. It was a very simple video just explaining two softwares, actually three softwares, which I can only recommend as much as I can concerning getting the most out of the package. Because the ideal thing about software is that you want to get not just something that is fun, but something that's also entertaining. One sec, I think I'm on the wrong screen now. That's a bit better. I don't want any Twitch elements on it. But when it comes to editing, like I say, you can have 3 options, 2 of them which are free, and they will allow you to last a little bit longer than any freeware, and you can get much more out of it. Meaning with HitFilm, you can get a lot out of it. It's both for After Effects and just pure editing. And then you have DaVinci Resolve, also free. You can also purchase there, for both of them actually, you can purchase a upgrade which costs kind of a lot of money, but once you spend it, it's worth it. And it's really focused on color grading. So if you're really into making sure that your videos look the best it does with color grading, then that is perfect. So for today's video, we're gonna go jump right into editing. If you have any questions on a workflow, anything particular, you know, it doesn't even have to be directly about editing, about cutting, because I really want to focus on cutting today. But I would say just ask, because I always learned by asking questions. It's free, it doesn't cost any time, and if I'm live now anyway, you can just learn from my experience. I was actually basically I wanted to use my footage from a ad that I shot with Mercedes, an AMG. I thought it would have been cool. I like working with cars. I don't know why, they are just so cool to film. But for today's purpose, let's jump into Premiere. There we go. Sorry, I also have to rotate my camera a little bit. But for today's footage, we're going to be editing, it's not on the screen yet, we're going to be editing some Korean holiday videos. So these are videos that I've shot last year, and I did it partly for an ad for a company, but also partly for myself. So I just combined everything in one, and it worked. It came out fantastic, I must say. The footage is fantastic. I love my camera that I shoot with. It's right there. It's a Fujifilm. Get the X-T3 or the X-T4. They're both very similar. If you're on a budget, maybe get the X-T3 because it is a little bit cheaper, and the X-T4 costs like what, 4K? It's not 4K, 2K euro, and it's a lot of money for not even that much of an upgrade, because all you get is, I think, full HD at 240 frames per second, which is amazing, but it's not really a must. It's not really in my category of footage. Let me just get some files out. And while editing, I thought it's also really cool just to talk a little bit about when you edit, what do I do before I even start with files or anything. See, my goal is really to focus a lot on just getting a nice relaxed atmosphere. There's nothing nicer than working with a calm mind. When you're under stress, it just sucks, and it is going to break your head after a while. You know, you're going to get a headache from all the footage you're looking at. You know, you're processing your headache with it, and then you have to process where you want to edit, what you want to edit, how you want to edit it. Because at the end of the day, what you edit is really just a personal preference. And that's, I'm going to be honest about, I hate those YouTube videos when they say, this is the best way to edit, this is the best. No, it's not. It all depends on you. At the end of the day, the software is only a software, and you make the most out of it. If you want to work a little bit slower, but on your own tempo, that's totally fine. You don't need anyone to tell you what the best flow is. Of course, you will have professionals that are able to edit much quicker on the go, but this is machine work. You know, they don't really care what they edit at the end of the day, and that's a bit of a shame. But if you take a little bit more time, that's totally fine. I have never had any client complain to me about what's going to happen, correct or wrong, and telling me how to edit, because my work always was great according to them. So this is just my feedback. One sec, I want to now quickly look for some files. I found one of my hard drives today, which is fantastic. Let's go to 2019 because that's what I want. And or should I throw in Iceland? Any guys have a preference, Iceland or let's go to Korea. I'm gonna go focus on some drone shots, I think. So that is not drone shots. I think these are drone shots. Nope. Where are my drone shots? I need to have a look for a few shots, because without them... There we go. We're just going to work with this file as a first one. I thought it was one of my best shots that I created so far. It's also a really fun shot. I need to jump onto OBS because it's a little bit easier for me so I can see what you guys see. But when it comes to editing, it's first of all, before you even import files, try to have an understanding on why you want to edit something, why you want to... Is it me or is it really dark on my screen. But you just want to answer yourself the basic questions. What's your purpose? What's your goal of today? And when I edit, I just look at what do I want to achieve? Who is my client even? Am I making this for myself? Am I making this for a holiday, a vlog, or what's at the end of the day the purpose? Because you need to have some sort of storytelling. If you don't have storytelling, you know, it's not really fun for anyone to watch. If you have no plan and you're just throwing footage on a screen and you think it's great, but you don't understand who's actually going to watch it, people are going to get confused really quick. I remember my very first videos that I made, which was very, in my head, I thought it was amazing. But now that I rewatched it, I was like, what am I even doing? I just had no concept of even understanding what people would expect from watching a video. I had no understanding on what is actually going on, what is going on besides my world, you know, because you always need to incorporate everyone else into your video. If you make a video for anyone public, try to focus on them. If they are for the elderly, try to make it a little bit louder, try to make it very slow because they take a little bit more time to process something. Take your time with it. You know, all these small little matters matter. All these small little details have a purpose. And that is, I think, the key point actually of everything. So I have this very quick shot here. This was one of my first shots that I did when I arrived in Busan in 2019. I saw this thing in the water. I got my drone. I flew it over. I didn't even care if there was a drone restriction or not. Luckily there wasn't, because the guards came over and they were really happy about what I was doing. But it's a very simple shot. I think this is even in 4K. Ooh, yeah. I'm trying to think, should I maybe render it a little bit? Let's see, how long is it? Let's cut part of it away though. Okay, let's do this. Oops, there we go. And we're gonna render it quickly just so that it becomes a little bit smoother. And then we can just talk a little bit out. There we go. Now it's working. But the purpose of just when it comes to editing, you just want to have a little bit of fun. You want to have a little bit of excitement. You want to do a little bit of storytelling. You want to avoid all the cuts or all the parts in any part of a video. You don't want basically anyone to basically watch a piece of footage and think there was no plan behind it. It comes over very unprofessional. And this is for anything that is for YouTube, for a client, even for yourself. Just practice for yourself. Always try to keep the bar high, because that's the only way you can actually practice your footage. That's the only way you can move yourself forward. If you set your own bar super high, you can really go far at the end. You just get yourself a little bit of a path going and boom, you will edit very correctly. Again, if anyone has any questions, then please just put them in the comments below. I'll gladly listen. And I hope the internet connection is fine as well. If someone can just confirm that, that will be fine. Does it play now? Super. Now we have something to work with. So we have this file here, and basically it pans around this object, okay? And when it comes to these shots, drone shots, it's a very easy thing to work with, but it can also cause a lot of headache, because a lot of people think you need to have drone shots to make videos look great, but it also has to have a purpose. So for the beginning, when it comes to cutting, I looked at this file and I said, okay, what is cool and what is not so cool? What do you want to achieve with it? So basically, I gradually speeded up this footage to kind of give this twister feel. So basically, I was around the subject, meaning this, I don't even know what it is, a statue? I have no idea what this thing is, but I think it's just an artwork and it looks fantastic. I mean, in case you didn't see it, it's made out of squares. So let's zoom in a little bit. So it's cool. You know, the idea of it is really cool. And I only noticed this when I was looking at the footage again and zoomed in a little bit. But that is a really cool little statue. But let's go to the editing. So I'm just floating there with my drone. I wasn't really sure what I was going for yet, but then I thought, okay, I might as well practice something. What you notice from now is you're just analyzing your footage a little bit and you want to see, is it usable? And slowly, I don't know if you guys notice it. We're going to watch it again. I wasn't really sure what I'm doing yet with my controls. You can see that I'm not really focusing on my directions. I'm not really focusing on my speed yet, but gradually, really slowly, I'm getting the hang of things. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going for. oh, it's getting better and better, I'm just going to keep it with the speed. Okay? You just keep on going, it just keeps on turning, and then slowly it just unveils Busan. It unveils, I think this was Hyundai Beach. Yes, it was Hyundai Beach. But when it comes to editing, and we don't even have sound yet, look at the imperfections. Try to really focus on those small things. I don't know if you guys can see this on the stream. Can I make this a little bit bigger maybe? Let's make that a bit bigger. I'm just going to try and demonstrate it again. Do you see how all of a sudden it's a little bit jerky? You see I moved all of a sudden a little bit more to the right. Sorry, to the left. It just jumps all of a sudden because I wasn't sure what I was going for. I wasn't sure what I was doing with my drone. But I knew that as long as I can work with post editing, I can get rid of it. And that's what we're going to learn today. Just really simple post editing. And I was happy from, I thought it doesn't really display too much yet. But from here, you have the sun here, so you need to keep that in consideration as well. You want to unveil things to a certain point, and you want to make it become more and more amazing. You want to make it more and more succulent for the viewers. You want to make it more appealing for the people. You know, you want to make sure that what they're watching, they're just getting a little bit of a surprise. They're getting a little bit of a comeback, basically. And they're not just watching for the fun. It has to be exciting still. So what I would do is, I would just press C. I think that's the same command on HitFilm. I'm not sure about DaVinci Resolve. But once you have that done, you already made your first cut. And just go over it again. Just have a look like, how cool is it? Can it be any better? Can it get even more exciting? I mean, that's a super cool shot though. This, when it becomes a bit transparent because of the design of the metal, super cool. And this is why I kept this part actually in the clip, even though it doesn't reveal enough. But when you come inside, it is just such a cool subject to film. And it slowly will unveil the entire beach. Should we maybe have a look at the entire clip? Also to, let's see, let's edit it, and let's go back into the sequence and render it into out. And all that rendering into out does, it just renders the entire clip, so it's easy to work with. You can also use proxy files, which is cool as well. It's not really a must, but if your computer is good enough and it's able to render quick enough, then please just, I would use into out, and that's good enough. And it's a little bit slower today because I'm also live streaming, but that's the entire process behind it. Again, if anyone has any type of questions, then please just ask them. And I'm thinking, should I put on some music while we talk? Yeah, let's add a little bit of music. It doesn't do any harm, I think. Oops. If it works. If it wants to work. There we go. A little bit of relaxation. Put it down a little bit. There we go. And it's all just about having fun with editing. That's the entire goal. Just relax a little bit. And ooh, okay, what about no video? So the stream is going to get a bit worse because when you render things, it just takes up all the processing. It takes up all your power of the computer. Your CPU is going to go crazy with it. It might take a bit of time, but once it's completed, it's really worth it because it's so smooth to edit with it. And if you're focusing on just the cutting as a starter, I personally would just start with cutting all my footage into parts, understanding what do I want to put where, and then I'll just try to create a story out of it and add the music, the effects a little bit later. Of course, some people also ask, should we include a bit of music up front? Well, it really depends. 80% of the time I do add music because if I know the type of music I'm going for, I can purposely see what I want out of my clip. The music sets a high tone and it's a very beautiful tone or a very sad tone. It really just depends on what you want to achieve with your footage. Let's jump a little bit into it again. A really beautiful beach, by the way. If you go to Korea and you go to Busan, try book one of these hotels here and you're going to have an amazing time. It is just so amazing to see. Let's go back there. I just want to display something. It's so amazing to see. You would think these buildings are big and they are massive, But when you see these buildings that they were just building in 2019, I think they could be completed by now. You know, it's just mind blowing how big these buildings are. And that's basically Korea. If you go to Seoul, it's even more intense, and it is a bit scary even. So, hey, come to Japan, all good? Hope you're doing fine, and I hope the stream is doing well, because I see it black out sometimes, but I'm not sure if that's YouTube or if that's me, because by me everything is running quite smooth without any issues, so not really sure what is happening. But thank you for coming by. If you have any questions, come to Japan, just ask away, you know. We're just going over the basics of editing today. Really the basics, you know, people who are just wanted to get a bit of feel of editing, because a lot of people say they want to cut, but there's a difference between cutting and there's a difference between cutting with a reason. Why did you cut there? What's the purpose of it? For example, if I didn't want any of this footage here, and I think it's fine, I would just cut from... I'm thinking around here. So the main reason why I would cut here, let's quickly get there. Of course, you can also press delete. You don't have to do the click and drag system. Is mainly because you're already entering the beach. You have to look at all your footage as a whole. You can't just say this is the subject. Always try to look at what you're doing with an entire picture. I hate when shots are cut off. I hate when you look at a video and someone's hand is cut off, when someone's head is partly cut off. It's so, sorry, I would say just unprofessional. And that's one thing that I also learned from a photographer who did photography from the royal wedding. He just mentioned, when you do photography, just make sure that everything is visible. If you cut things out, it's just terrible, and you're not going to get the most out of your photo. Of course, you can always zoom in, pinch in later, and it's always better just to have a full thing, because if you cut something out and it's not on frame and it's not picked up by the sensor of the camera, well, guess what? You are just going to lose out, and you cannot make that return. And for now, this is a quite usable shot. It's showing the entire beach. Again, Hyundai Beach. Hyundai. Hyundai Beach, as they like to call it there. And then I do a flyback just to unveil these two buildings. Again, beautiful buildings. To see these buildings at night light up, fantastic. And it's a really fun thing as well. Again, am I cutting away, or is that just YouTube? I'm not really sure, but that's a bit scary. When it comes to after the editing, you have, or let's, maybe to make it even more simple, let's get something a little bit more with, maybe let's get something that is a little bit more intense to look at. I want to have something, let's have a look. I want to have not only a drone shot, actually, let's also look at, I was looking at a shot today that I want to incorporate. Where was it? Sorry, I have to go through quickly some of my footage. Beautiful. Let's take this one just. I think it's a nice shot. I love filming couples. For some reason, it's very beautiful. You see, some people just need a little bit of love in their lives, and some people get it by asking people out. I just like filming them. Nah, I'm just joking. They want to come over too creepy. So we have this bit of footage with a bit of sound, even though the sound is not that important here. It's just someone mumbling. Oh wait, am I shooting? What's going on here? I know I wasn't filming in 720p, but it doesn't really matter. It might be that my file is in... it could be that my file is in 1080p, but it's stretched. It has a different format. It's a cinema format, so don't really worry about it. So let's get rid of the sound. There we go. So we have this next shot. And let me just tell you one thing. It's amazing to see how this piece of footage plays so perfectly without even rendering it, without even considering the codec. And that's really just because the Fuji codec is seen as a codec that functions with all editing softwares. If you had, for example, a Sony camera, they have a big issue with their codecs, and it just makes your computer run much slower, or sorry, the software run much slower. So if you do decide to buy a camera, look at the codecs. How does it perform? An MP4 file is not an MP4 file because everyone films in their own methods. Everyone uses a different code to translate what you capture into a video. So I'm not really happy with DJI that much because it takes a long time to render. And this is not even this is a really small sensor. It's a 1-inch CMOS sensor. Well, this is a APS-C sensor. You know, a much bigger sensor. It picks up much more details. And I think I was filming here at 400 Mbps. So 100, 400. But it's all about that codec. So if you do your homework correctly, focus on as well what camera you want to buy, but also focus on the codec itself. So this shot, I really think it was a great shot. All of a sudden it just lags away. That's totally fine. I don't need that part for now. So I was just looking on the street. I still remember this shot. I was like, I want to film people walking into the touristic destination. I want to see or capture something that is slow. I want to capture something that's a little bit spicy, you know, that there is a bit of a story between a person or a couple. And I saw this couple walking. They, from a distance, already looked like they had a discussion and they're having a good time. Actually, let's render it while I explain this, just to make sure that everything runs well. They were having a good time, and I just saw, okay, what are they up to? What can I capture from them? And if there's one thing that I noticed is that, hey, they really love each other. And one thing that I really love about the Koreans as well, I don't know if the same is in Japan, but they wear the same colors. It's a real couple look. I've never seen so many couples wearing the same clothes. It's actually amazing to see. Why? I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe it's a thing. Dan, is this a thing for you? You can tell me if you want. I think next stream I'm gonna make sure that everything is already rendered in and out already from the get-go, so we don't have to waste time on this. Again, if you have any questions, just ask away. It's much easier to ask open questions rather than unopened questions, because then I know exactly what has to be answered. Let's just let this render in and out quickly. Perfect. Wait, am I still actually on that frame? I actually am. So we need to just pretend a scenario here, or else this doesn't really make so much sense. But when it comes to actually creating a story, let's say I was filming here and I want to create all of a sudden jump into the city. Okay, I know these locations are not next to each other, don't get me wrong. I think the next location is like 50 kilometers away, but the point is that you create a sort of storytelling, you know. And I think this is a really bad example because we're going from something that's very aquatic to something that's very non-aquatic. You don't see the beach, and it's really easy to say that these are not the same places. So I think I wouldn't use these frames after each other. Again, it doesn't make sense. The storytelling doesn't make sense. But okay, back to the cutting now that everything is smoothed out. So I picked up my gimbal, I picked up my camera, I said I want to shoot this right now. So what I do is I was looking at them and I thought, okay, how am I going to capture them? I only have like literally 5 seconds to get everything going. 5 seconds in total. And I was thinking, okay, what is the perfect speed? Can I follow them somehow? And I cut it from here. I'm going to make a cut here. Okay, I'm going to move this part away a little bit so you can actually see why I cut from there. Again, the shot itself is not bad. It is just that it's very... It just jiggles around way too much. It has such an inconsistency. One moment I'm going quick, one moment I'm going slow, one moment I'm standing still. Here I'm standing still, then I'm moving to the left, then I'm quickly moving to the right. And it's very frustrating. It's a very it just gives me a headache to look at. But all of a sudden, and let's get rid of this. Again, you can also just press zoom this. Boom. It just slowly zooms out and you can focus on everything. You can focus not only on them walking into something, but you can also focus on the people walking away from it. And that's the beauty of it. I just didn't want to capture them alone, or else I would have made sure that they're always in focus and that their body doesn't disappear out of nowhere. I just wanted to make sure that it just becomes a very smooth shot. If I want to put this into slow-mo, because I think this is shot at 120 frames per second, I made sure that this is a very slow shot. I made sure that it just tells a little bit more about the Korean culture, about what's happening, about who is where. And I think it can just add a little bit more of fine intimacy between me, the videographer, but also between the story. I love emotions. Everyone all of a sudden looks, let's go back there. She caught me filming her. He looks very surprised. They're just really nice little emotions that you want to pick up, and you want to keep those in your camera. Oh, where was he running to? Let's have a look at that. Maybe he was just trying to be polite and tried to get out of my shot, but maybe he wanted to buy something for his girlfriend or wife. But overall, it's just a nice shot to look at. And this is, again, important. You just want to have not just the nice shots, but just also that it tells a bit of story, that it has a bit of a reference to the Korean culture, how people are there, you know. And this one thing that I noticed here is that the people there are very energetic when it comes to making decisions. They're very quick. They are a little bit, if you do this behavior in Germany, you stand out as a bit awkward, but this is quite normal there. You know, that all of a sudden you see the boyfriends walking away from the girlfriends, doing something quickly, picking up a flower, picking up a present or anything like that. It's a very common thing to do. And it's something that I just picked up. But again, back to the editing. I just love analyzing footage. It's something fun. When it also goes to cutting away, make sure that if you have something that stops, like the flow all of a sudden ends, cut immediately there. Again, I'm going to display it again. Did you see how all of a sudden my gimbal stopped panning? That's the moment you want to cut. That's the moment you want to pull away. That's the moment you don't want to have that anymore in your camera. Also, the subject is anyway out of sight and it doesn't really say anything anymore. Most of the action is between this couple walking and that couple splitting up and the man running into, I think there was a food stand, so I think he was hungry. And I would just cut it right there. That's everything that I would do. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Perfect. And just as a proof, just to display this to you guys, okay? I'll have the original file that I have here. And you just tell me, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer to look at the video that looks a little bit messy, camera's moving quick, gimbal's moving quick, okay? A little bit unfocused, if I may say so. And a lot of wobble at the end. Or you prefer something that's a little bit more clean, explains enough, shows enough, and finishes there. You see, these are the moments that you just need to realize, what do I actually want to keep? And if there is something that happens that's so extreme and you cannot film it again, or it's like a thing that you can only see once, for example, you see someone running away after a stabbing. I know I have to go to the extremes, but then just include everything. Or there is a moment where you see a couple all of a sudden getting engaged. That engagement is just a one-time thing. And if you're accidentally there and you want to shoot it, of course there's going to be a moment where it might be a bit jittery, but keep that in. It just might add a bit of the struggle behind the cameraman. Again, it all depends on you and what you want to say as a story. But if you do add these rough scenes, make sure it's aligned with everything else in all your footage. Don't make that one scene very rumbly and tumbly. Make it smooth all across, or make it smooth and rumbly tumbly all across, or get something like a GoPro without the hyper smooth. It might be wobbly, might be super cool though. Just keep the consistency going, because that's something that a lot of people look at. That's a very important factor. I really miss Korea now, actually. Again, these live streams, with editing. This is really for beginners. This is really for people just getting off and wanting to learn something about editing, wanting to grow into something better than what they were before. It's the baby steps that count. It's really the small footprints that you leave behind that makes you a better, not only videographer, but also a post-production master. And you don't have to go complex. Once you understand the basics of this, turning a piece of footage that looks like this into this, to be honest, you already have like 70% of it down. Literally 70% of it down. This is the key to making something much better, something much more effective, something much more intense for anyone to watch. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, but it's all about the storytelling, just about what you want to achieve in your post edits. Because if you can achieve some sort of pattern and you can just stick to it, you just produce an amazing piece of video. I'm trying to think. I want to maybe, let me go back to my files. I want to display something. It's also about a learning curve. One sec, I need to watch it myself quickly. Okay, sorry, not hey guys. Just looking at a piece of footage. I'm gonna put a piece of footage in my timeline because I want to display something that it makes. I'm trying to see, because I only worked on 3 frames or 4 frames. Let's just throw it in there, okay? Blah, 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 blah. Whatever, keep the same settings. Why am I shooting in 4? Is this? Could be that my workflow is set to 4K. That's why my 1080 files look so small. So I need to see if I can find the original to it. Okay, I have a piece of footage that I was working on. It was a guy wanted to show off his rap career. You know, I don't know how far he got with it, but look, he hired me and I said, look, let's make the most out of it and let's edit a bit out of it as well. And at the end of the day, he did not choose me because he said, I think it would be better for someone else to edit it. And I was like, that's fine. Look, you do what you want to do. But I anyway wanted to have a go on editing because when I look at videos, I always believe that it's also very important that when you cut, it's clean. And this is a 8-second clip. And do you see how everything here, for example, is a little bit rough? And the reason why I wanted to keep it rough, because it tells a little bit more of a story as well to this particular video. It's just important that when you go through a video, it's just important that you keep the consistency. And one shot that I really hated, but the guy here loved, is this shot. But my problem with it is everything is tack sharp and the sun flare, to be honest, just looks terrible. The colors look terrible. I really love these kind of shots, really focusing on the subject, making sure that he is dressed well, you know, the small details, the roughness of everything. And my cuts are just really simple. Really simple cuts. Of course, that transition is a bit of a technique, but it's nothing too complicated. But it was just a transition to kind of push with the bass, with the kick. These things are just important, and a cut doesn't have to be just cutting from one scene to the other. A cut also has to have a purpose between what is the next shot and what is the previous shot. What do you want to achieve with it? If you want to create, for example, a transition, which is different than a cut, listen to the music, listen to what's happening beforehand. What can I do to emphasize jumping from one scene to the other scene? And that is something, for example, why this cut, to me at least, works, because it works with the sound, but it also works with the element as well, because he's coming into the screen and he's doing something on the second on the second scene. He jumps into the camera, which is a really small but cool effect. And he was super happy with it. I showed him these 8 seconds, and he was just super pleased with it. And I think he also showed this to his camera crew. He did actually copy this. But they did mess up so much more. Sometimes I wish that people could ask for opinions because you can learn. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I always just say, hey guys, what do you think of it? Try to share things around, because that's the only way you can learn. That's the perfect way you can learn, actually. And yeah, that's really it. Let me have a look. I want to keep existing settings, blah blah blah. It's not even in. I was thinking for the next live stream next week, I want to talk a little bit about color grading and the basics. Color grading is something, again, I'm not a fan of YouTubers or anyone saying this is the best way to color grade. This is the best LUT to use. This is the best method to color grade. Yeah, there are methods to color grade, but everyone has their own way. Everyone has their own artistic thing going on. And when I'm talking about color grading, let's see if you can see this on. I need to quickly go on OBS. There, I need to move over the screen a little bit, and I'll move myself over here. So when it comes to color grading, very quick, color grading is nothing more than actually just making sure that your footage looks right, that you want to add a bit of a color, you want to make it fit your tone of the entire footage. Maybe you want to make it a bit colder, you make it a bit warmer. It all tells a different story, you know. Maybe it is a little bit colder there, but because you know people are wearing these clothes, it's a bit warm. So if anything, turn it up a little bit, you know, just a little bit. It doesn't hurt. You want to play with the tint a little bit, make it a little bit more green, a little bit of a matrix feel if you want to call it like that, or you want to make it a little bit more lovey-dovey, add a bit of red, a little bit of pink. I normally hate playing with tints. I'm just going to admit that. It's not my favorite, because if your camera is installed correctly, you shouldn't be, you really shouldn't be needing to play with this until the very end, unless you really know something has to be super blue or super orange. But if you have everything correctly, you can do everything down here. And we're going to be talking about exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks. What do they all mean? How can you play with certain settings? And what's the purpose of everything? What does everything do? I love this. You see how just effective it just makes everything. It looks so dramatic. But we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. If you have any questions until then please, if it's about, name it. I'm really open-minded to any type of questions. Again, it doesn't even have to be about the stream. So I'll gladly listen, guys, if anyone wants to. Or else I will slowly close down the stream. I did learn a few things with the first stream. Make sure that everything is rendered into out. Because it's just a good thing. Should I continue working with this file, or should we try something else? Ooh, tough one. I think I'm gonna work with this file because it is shot in F-Log. F-Log is a setting on your camera that basically films without any digitalized coloring, without any digitalized sharpening. Of course, you can make it more sharp, less sharp on your settings of your camera, but for most of it, this is a really uncolored shot. It's missing a lot of colors. And if you're just wondering how much, wait, did I click it? Look at the amount of colors that you can still implement. And this looks fantastic. I know the saturation is super high, but because my camera is on a very, it's basically on a very good setting, you can drag up saturation. I would never recommend this if you shoot on any other mode, Vivid or anything like that. Don't play with saturation, you know, it doesn't really add anything. I'm actually amazed how good this looks with saturation on 200. That's amazing. I never tried it because I normally never play with saturation, only minimally. But it can get so complex. So for now, I think that's really it, unless there's any questions. If anyone wants to ask me something, then just ask me. I'll gladly help you guys. I'll gladly just answer a few questions. Because again, with color grading for next week, it can be something that's super cool. It can be something that's super fun. And I personally would say cutting is important. It really is the most important part when it comes to your entire video, and of course also the transitions. We can talk about that maybe as well next week. But it's just important for your storytelling that you... What's wrong with my... Sorry. So sorry, my headphone has one of these weird cables, and it was rubbing all the time against the foot of my table, and it kept making these saw effects. No, but coming back to it, you know, the cut is just the biggest part of your editing. It's really also the toughest part. If you look, for example, as a reference, just look at these cinematic videos, how they produce a Hollywood movie. If you just look at all the levels of complexity that goes into it, all the cuts, all the special effects, it all has to be cut with love. Actually, it has to be done with excitement. If you have scenes that just drag on forever, it just gets boring and people are looking 20 seconds at the same scene. They got the point most likely already in 10 seconds. But if you want to make a really quick video, I really love snaps, you know, but not like a machine gun. I really just like to tell enough for people to see what it is. For example, this to me is of course it's now back to its full length. It was like a 4-second clip, but that's enough time for me to say, this is what happened at that one moment when I was filming. You saw this, this, and this, and this. You saw the boyfriend and girlfriend walking. You saw another boyfriend and girlfriend walking. And for example, and all of a sudden the boyfriend ran away. That is all that I can say, actually. That's all there is to learn about cutting. And once you just get this down, just practice a little bit. When it comes to... Let's actually do this really quick, because I think that'll be a good point. I'm gonna pull up a thing, one of my reviews. This could be more important for YouTubers or people who want to make content for YouTube, basically, where they speak. One sec, I need to go to the correct file. Fun fact, I call my final stage of video. So when I render something, I have a file called dump file. I call it the trash bin. Trash bin. Something you don't have in Japan, by the way. They hate trash bins. But let's look at this. I'm gonna drag this one up here, basically. Okay, we're gonna import that. That was from yesterday's review. In case you didn't see it, please check out my channel. It will help a lot. Let's only get... I'm trying to see. What's up, guys? Another video. Terrible. We're just going to drag this in there because it's not important. When you're YouTubing, okay? And what am I doing? I want to make this as big as possible. There we go. So you can actually see the files. Now, I know HitFilm, and I think also DaVinci Resolve, they have these beautiful things. Unlinked that. Well, I have no idea why, but when I record with OBS, it gives me 2 files, which is fine, but just delete one of us. You get a weird echo effect. Let's link them again. A little bit easier to cut. I really think I'm on a 4K screen. Not really sure what's wrong, but it doesn't really matter. But when you do some content creation for YouTube and you want to make sure that your footage is clean, please use the sound files. Use these sound waves as your reference points. They are the key to making your cutting so much easier, and it also gives you the key how to make something look very natural. Okay, let's look at this intro, for example, of me just talking. What's up, guys? Another video. Okay, you have all this time, okay, that is not needed. Where to make your cut? Very simple. You use your file if you want to. All these softwares have a file a file, a zoom in bar. Just use it. Find the, remember these are all small little, these are all independent frames. So you're just skipping through your frame and trying to find a frame that has as little space as possible. Let's even zoom in a little bit more. Why not? Okay. You can see that with jumping from this frame into this frame, there's a little bit of voice there. You can try cut it away, but
What's up, guys?
it might also just be better just to go back a little bit, just a little bit, and see how that sounds. I always say go with the frame before, because you're not really talking yet and your mouth might be shut, rather than slowly opening up. You can see I'm slowly opening my mouth, but I always just like to go with the first one, meaning out of the sound waves. Oops, we're not even in the description yet. There we go. Just keep using them as your reference points.
Another video.
And it just helps so much with all your editing. You can see exactly how big a word is. You can see exactly when you want to cut a certain word. I didn't even listen to it, but I can really imagine that just this is a word. You see? Guys. You can see the waveform for just the word guys. Use this to cut out words. Use this as a reference point to silence something. You know, let's say you want to get rid of the sound for whatever reason. You're not happy with it. Fair enough. Or you want to overlay a sound effect because you said the word fuck. You know, if you want to say the word curse words and you want to overlay them, use this as your reference point to cut those words out. You can cut those things out individually. And of course, this takes a little bit of finicky and playing around. This takes a little bit of experience. At one moment, you can even understand what words, how many words you're saying. I'm not going to say you can really see what word it is, but it just gives you a sense of direction where the word is and when you want to silence it. I'm trying to have a look for, is it effects? I think it is effects. Audio clip. I love this. It just looks so complex. And it looks beautiful as well. And this is a really important point when it comes to color grading. Your RGBs, red, green, blue. Just that everything looks very beautiful. And of course, these things move. You can basically see me as a person moving it.
What's up, guys?
And it's kind of cool to look at as a reference point. But this is all for color grading. This is a very complex thing for now. If you're new to it and you just want to try out color grading for next week, just do it by yourself and just play around with it. Don't worry about all these crazy things. You don't need them by now. There we go, volume. So you have your volume effect, and imagine you don't want to say the word, I think it was the word guys, no? Just drag it down, get rid of it, and
What's up? Another video.
super clean, no? Super clean, but super easy. Or you want to add a sound effect, for example, a fire truck sound effect. Whoop, whoop, you know, while you're talking. You can do whatever you want with it, but it just adds a bit of flexibility. And of course, the first, the first 30 minutes of my stream, it was all just about basically cutting your first video. You can use the key C and V as your main buttons to press. C will enter a cutting mode. On Premiere, for example, you can see this very little fine blade, and you can just cut away if you want to, make some sashimi out of it if you want to, no problem. You can do what you want with it, go crazy with it. And if you want to go back and you want to do some dragging and playing with certain files, click to V to enter your mouse tool or your selection tool, if they like to call it here. What do they cut this? Razor tool, they like to cut it. I like to call it the cutting tool. Typing is cool as well. But yeah, these are really the basics of it. This is really the basics of editing. I hope this was interesting to people who are really new to it. And I hope we can get the most out of it. Because at the end of the day, if you're completely new, and again, this stream is really about just starting off and you only just got into the editing world, make it as simple as possible for yourself. Just come into a very relaxed mode and talk it through slowly. Just be very simple and edit with a passion. Go in there with the goal of thinking you want to become better. And for me, it's a very good learning curve as well, just to take a few steps back and remember, how did I start? And it's something that is very important, because you sometimes need to realize, where did you even start? What was my first edit? When did I edit my first video? And I have no idea, to be honest, when that happened. I think 2000. I think I said in the last stream 2015 I started editing, but that's not even true. I think I started in 2012, 2011, around that age, and it was a really fun time. It was a really exciting time for me, because I just was pushed into a software which I didn't know. I think I made a video about it a very long time ago. I got Adobe Premiere Elements. Elements is a great software in case you don't want to go with the full pro version. It just allows you to go with the basic cutting, the basic editing. But even paying $100 for the software back in 2011, 2012, I realized that it was just a waste of money, because Adobe is, it's okay for anyone, for kids to learn with Adobe Elements. But when it comes to really making the most out of your money and being efficient with your money, go with something that has a lot already inside of it. That's why I always say, go with HitFilm, go with DaVinci Resolve, or if you have the budget, go with Premiere fully. Premiere is just amazing. HitFilm is amazing. DaVinci Resolve is amazing. You don't have to go to the market and buy software. Don't do it. These softwares for $100 don't do anything. They're nothing more than cash grabs. So that is a very important point. And you don't want to support cash grabbing companies. Even Adobe is part of it, with these element packs. And they really enjoy it. But to me, it is just so frustrating, because I always thought that Adobe Premiere Elements was like a pre-add-on to Adobe Premiere Pro. It's not. It's a completely simplified software that it really learns the basics. And if you want to learn the basics, just go with HitFilm. It's free, and it just offers so much more, where you can gradually just upgrade yourself in the near future. And that is, I think, the most important part of it all. It's all about just that learning curve and going upwards and finding your way to become better. And I know a lot of people who don't really care about editing. There are enough YouTubers that don't care about editing. But if you look, for example, and I know this is a terrible example, I don't watch him actually a lot, but if we look at PewDiePie and just analyze the way he edits, it's a very simple way of editing. Okay, he cuts all his videos based on the soundbar. What is being said, who is saying what can we do with that one clip where one certain thing is being said. For example, let's go to I just want to demonstrate something about PewDiePie. Is that one scene that I put on 0? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna put that back on 0. Okay, this has to go away. This is timestamping. That is completely for another segment. It's a really fun thing to play with, though, timestamps. But what PewDiePie actually does is, you'll have his video, which is super fun. Oops. I need to look, where is that one part? Why is this quiet? I thought I put it up. What happened there? Sorry for that. But I don't know why my sound is gone all of a sudden. But it says here, guys, so we know it. I'm saying the word guys. We've just edited it away. I have no idea why it's stuck. Doesn't really matter. But what PewDiePie or his editors do, they zoom in completely. Let's make this a little bit smaller so I can play with it. Let's twist it, add some crazy effect to it. Woo! Amazing.
Another video.
It's all just about playing with your files, but understanding what you're editing, And this is how PewDiePie edits his videos. It's very simple. I know it looks like it's very time consuming, because it is, because it's non-stop going to the cut tool and making sashimi out of everything that he's saying. And it takes time, don't get me wrong.
What's up, guys? Another video.
I just don't like the way. One sec. Let's fix that quick. Is that this scene? Yeah. So we're just gonna delete that quick. We're gonna drag it.
Another.
Oh, I get it, because I sashimi'd it. Alrighty, alright, that's my fault. I forgot it was 2 files. I'm gonna get rid of that.
Guys, another.
There we go. So we have the word guys. Oh, you don't even see that, sorry. Let's go back to the screen. Oops. Let me quickly go to OBS quickly and change my screen. Am I actually on the correct screen? I am on the correct screen. Am I not? What's happening? On OBS, I'm on the correct screen. Sorry. But I was talking about PewDiePie really quickly, the way he edits his stuff. And what you can see here is basically my file. Sorry, I have to fix the sound really quick. But what he does is they find the words that they want to make a silly scene out of it. And all they do is they find it. This is the word. I cut it out of the entire segment. Of course, this is all cut like sashimi because I just want to demonstrate the cutting tool. All it does is zoom in, for example, add a bit of a twist. Woohoo! Amazing, no? And you can just go.
Guys, another video.
And that's it. That's the key of just playing around with footage. You can cut out words. You can cut out everything you want. So it's a really fun thing to play with. And that's the only thing I can suggest. I know this live stream was a little bit everywhere. It's literally blown away because you can just do so many things. And you can have so much fun with it. But if you really have the opportunity, just play around with it and send it over. Put it on YouTube and just put it on the Discord if you want to. I have a Discord. Links are down below. And you can gladly just follow that. I will gladly review it and say what you can improve. Maybe it's perfect from the first go. This is really for beginners. And just tell me. That's the only way that you can improve, by just telling me, hey, did I do good? And ask for feedback. Maybe there's things you can improve. Maybe there's things you're already really good at. It's all about just the baby steps. And that's the goal. The baby steps of becoming better. So guys, I think I'm going to stop the stream there. It has been really fun for me, especially because I'm learning more and more about streaming on YouTube. It's a little bit different than Twitch. Twitch is a little bit more relaxed, but when it comes to giving lessons, I understand why Tokeny Andy has to prepare a lot in advance. And there's all these things that you just learn on the go, especially for me. So it's really fun for me to see where everything is heading to. So that's super cool. But if you really enjoyed this stream and you want to just ask questions, a little bit of a cold wind in my nose. But yeah, there's a Discord link below. Please just join ahead. I am really friendly. I don't bite. There are enough people on there that might help and give you an honest opinion. We just socialize there. We're very simple people. We're open about anything. You know, we have everything from we have every topic on the table. So if that's something you want to learn from, whether it is learning Japanese as well, or learning Korean, listening to music, we have a music room. We have everything. Cool promotion, no? Then please just go to the link below. Discord link is added in the description. And I also just started a Patreon. This is something that I want to start off because I do a lot of reviews on YouTube and I just get demonetized nonstop. All my videos, and I know it's my fault. I know what I'm getting myself into, but I do see that this is something that people want to look at. I pull apart videos. I look at people who put a lot of budget, a big budget in making a music video, and I'm just talking about the effects. I'm talking about how did they perform with a big budget, because sometimes you don't need big budgets to make an amazing video. It's all just about what you do with your footage and make the most out of it, and all the scenery behind. And if you can pay for props, that's all amazing, but it all has to come down to the fundamentals. And please, there's one thing that you notice in my K-pop reviews, music video reviews: don't go overboard with skills that you did not master yet, because they look very silly in the longboard. So keep it simple and gradually improve. I prefer more simple videos that just have much more in it, and that is something that I'm quite honest about. So if you do want to see me tear apart videos, then just have a look at my teardown videos. That's on my YouTube channel as well. And like I already just mentioned, if you do want to support me on Patreon, and there are some benefits to it, of course. It's not just me trying to cash in or anything. I really just, that's not my goal at all. It's all about giving back to the community and by making videos, and that's actually my goal. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you next time.